I know this sounds impossible, but 18-year-old Maya Ellis was left in a frozen cabin by her own parents, with no phone, no car keys, and not even the small envelope of cash she had saved from working double shifts at a diner. They told her it was a fresh start. They told her the cabin was hers now. They told her she should be grateful. Then her stepmother took her phone, her father took the car keys, and together they drove back down the mountain in the middle of winter without looking in the rearview mirror. The wood stove was cold. The nearest town was 11 miles away. Snow had already swallowed the road. And on the second night, while Maya was shivering under every blanket she could find, she felt cold air coming up through the floorboards. At first, she thought it was just the old cabin breathing. Then she pulled back the braided rug in the center of the room and found a hidden hatch. And under that hatch was the one thing her parents had spent years making sure she would never find. But before the hatch, before the letters, before the lawyer in town said her full name like it mattered, Maya Ellis had only one story about her mother's family. They didn't want her. That was what her father said. That was what her stepmother repeated. Her mother, Lila, had died when Maya was 8. After that, Maya's whole childhood became a house full of locked drawers, whispered arguments, and people saying, "Not now," every time she asked a question. Her father, Daniel, was not a cruel man in the loud way. He did not slam doors. He did not shout often. He just disappeared while still standing in the room. After Lila died, he stopped looking directly at Maya for more than a few seconds at a time. Her stepmother, Denise, did all the talking after that. And Denise had a way of making every answer sound final. "Your mother's father was not a good man," she told Maya when Maya was 12. "He cut your mother off when she married your dad. He never cared about you. Some people are just bitter, honey. It is better not to carry that around." Maya believed her, because children believe the people who decide whether dinner gets put on the table. But even then, something never felt right. There were no letters from her mother's side of the family, no birthday cards, no photographs, no old stories. It was like half of her bloodline had been cut out of the family album with scissors. And every time Maya asked for the little cardboard box of her mother's things, the cassette tapes, the glass bird from the kitchen window, the one photograph of Maya and her mother together, Denise said the same thing. "It's safer where it is." Safer was a word adults used when they had already decided something did not belong to you. By 18, Maya had learned to save quietly. She worked closing shifts at a diner in town, wiped tables until midnight, and hid her tip money in an envelope behind the loose panel in her closet. She was not saving for anything fancy, just a bus ticket, first month's rent, maybe community college if life ever stopped taking things from her long enough to let her plan. Then Denise found the envelope. Maya came home from work and saw it on the kitchen table, open and empty. Her father sat there with his hands folded. Denise stood behind him, holding Maya's phone. "Where is it?" Maya asked. Denise's face was calm, almost kind. "Your father and I think you need structure. That money is mine. You live under this roof. I earned it. You owe this family more than you understand." Maya looked at her father. "Dad?" He did not look up. That was the moment something inside Maya went quiet. You know what hurt the most? It wasn't the money. It was realizing her father could hear her being robbed and still pretend the room was peaceful. The next morning, Denise packed 2 bags and told Maya they were driving to the cabin. "What cabin?" Maya asked. "Family land," Denise said. "Your father inherited it years ago. It has been sitting empty. We think it will be good for you." "A cabin? In February?" "A fresh start," Denise said. Her father carried Maya's bags to the car. Maya almost let herself believe them. That is how hope works when you have been starving for it. Even a trap can look like a door if someone calls it freedom. The drive took 3 hours. The highway became a county road. The county road became a narrow logging road. Then the logging road turned into 2 frozen ruts, climbing through black pine trees. Snow pressed against the windshield. Denise sat in the front seat with the heater on high and a travel mug of coffee she did not offer to share. Maya sat in the back with her knees against a box of canned food and asked, "Whose cabin was it?" Denise did not turn around. "Your mother's father built it." Maya went still. "My grandfather?" "Don't romanticize it," Denise said. "It is old, isolated, and barely worth the taxes." "Then why give it to me?" Denise's smile showed in the rearview mirror. "Because we are trying to help you." Her father's hands tightened on the wheel. He still said nothing. The cabin sat at the end of the road in a small clearing under heavy snow. It was built from dark square logs with a tin roof, a stone chimney, and a porch that sagged at one corner. The windows were small and blank. No smoke, no footprints, no sound except wind moving through the trees. Inside, the cabin smelled of cold ash, cedar, dust, and old silence. There was one main room, a table, 2 chairs, a narrow bed frame, a wood stove, a shelf of dishes, a braided rug covering most of the plank floor. Everything had a thin coat of dust, soft and even, like the place had been waiting for years without being touched. "There's wood in the shed," her father said. Maya turned to him. "You're leaving me here?" Denise set one of Maya's bags on the bed frame. "For a few days, to clear your head." "I need my phone." "No reception up here anyway." "My money?" "We're holding it until you are more responsible." Maya looked at her father again. "Dad, please." For a second, he looked at her. Really looked. Something like shame crossed his face. Then Denise said, "Daniel, the road will freeze." And the moment was gone. They walked back out onto the porch. Maya followed them, her thin jacket useless against the cold. Denise opened the car door, then turned back as if she had nearly forgotten something. "Oh, the box." "What box?" Maya asked. "Your mother's things. You brought them down from the attic last week." Maya's breath caught. "I wanted to keep them." "They will get damp here." Denise nodded toward Daniel. Her father took the cardboard box from the cabin doorway and carried it to the trunk. Maya ran down the porch steps. "That's mine!" Denise's voice sharpened. "Stop being dramatic." "Dad, that is all I have of Mom." Daniel placed the box in the trunk and closed it gently. Gently. That was the detail Maya would remember later. He stole from her gently. The car doors shut. The engine started. Maya stood in the snow as the red taillights turned and moved down the road, shrinking between the trees. Neither of them looked back. She stood there until the engine disappeared. Then it was just her, the cabin, the cold, and the dark coming down early. Maya did not cry. There was no heat to waste on crying. She went inside and made herself think. There was wood in the shed like her father said, dry enough to burn. There were matches in a coffee can, though half had gone soft. It took 4 tries before the kindling caught. When the first real flame climbed into the split pine, Maya sat on the floor in front of the stove and let out a breath she had been holding since the car drove away. She found a kerosene lamp on a shelf and oil beside it. A water barrel near the door had a skin of ice across the top. She broke it with the handle of a hatchet. There were a few jars in the cabinet, dried beans, old tomatoes, and coffee that smelled stale but drinkable. She was not going to die that night. That was as far as she let herself plan. The first night, she slept in her jacket on the bare bed frame with 2 blankets pulled over her head. The second day, snow kept falling. She swept dust out of the cabin, melted snow for water, and found a big old shepherd dog curled half frozen in the woodshed behind the woodpile. He was black and tan, gray around the muzzle, thin enough that his ribs made shadows under his fur. He watched her with tired eyes and did not growl. "Hey," Maya whispered. "Easy." She gave him half a granola bar and a piece of stale bread. He ate slowly, then leaned his whole weight against her knee, like he had been waiting to trust someone and had no energy left to argue with himself. She named him Dutch before sunset. That night, Dutch slept near the stove, and Maya was grateful for his breathing because it made the cabin feel less like a grave. But the cold got worse after midnight. Not from the windows, not from the door, from the floor. Maya lay stiff under the blankets, her feet aching, feeling a thin current of freezing air slide across the room. Dutch lifted his head at the same time she did. His ears came up. He stared toward the braided rug in the center of the floor and let out a low sound from deep in his chest. Maya sat up. "Yeah," she whispered. "I feel it too." She took the lamp from the table and knelt beside the rug. The cold was coming from beneath it. Her fingers shook as she pulled the rug back. At first, she saw only plank floor. Then she saw the seams. A square cut into the boards so perfectly it had almost disappeared. Dirt had been packed into the edges to hide the lines. A black iron ring lay flush in a shallow notch. Maya stared at it. People do not hide a hatch under a rug for nothing. For a second, she thought she was losing her mind. Then she hooked 2 fingers through the ring and pulled. The wood groaned. Dust cracked along the seams. A square of floor lifted. Cold, earthy air rose into the cabin. Below was darkness. Maya lowered the lamp. The light touched stone walls, shelves, jars, a metal box, and bundles of letters tied with string. She stopped breathing. This was not a crawl space. It was a cellar, a hidden room under the cabin. Maya climbed down carefully, one boot finding packed earth, then the other. The cellar was low but dry. Stone walls, a swept floor. Shelves along 2 sides. Dozens of jars lined up neatly. Beans, tomatoes, peaches, pickled vegetables, sacks of rice, candles, lamp oil, wool blankets sealed in canvas, a first aid kit, a hand axe, rope. Everything a person would need to survive a winter on the mountain. It was not random. It was prepared. Like someone had known she would come. Like someone had known she would be left cold and hungry. Maya pressed the back of her hand against her mouth. "Dutch?" she called softly, looking up at the dog's face above the hatch. "We're okay." Then she saw the labels. Most were written in a hard, slanted handwriting, but one old jar near the bottom had a round, careful child's print. Plum Jam. Under it was a name. Lila, her mother. Maya crouched so fast, her knees hit the earth. Her mother had been here as a child. This was not just a cabin. This was her mother's place. On the far shelf sat a metal document box, and beside it, a heavy iron strongbox with a padlock. The document box opened with a stiff latch. Inside were photographs, envelopes, legal papers, and one letter on top. Across the front, in pencil, were two words. For Maya, her own name, written by someone she had been told never wanted her. Maya carried the box up to the cabin and sat at the table with the lamp close, and Dutch pressed against her leg. Her hands shook as she unfolded the letter. "If you are reading this, then they finally brought you here, and I'm sorry it took so long. My name is Arthur Vale. I am your mother's father, which makes me your grandfather, though I expect by now you have been told different. You may have been told I wanted nothing to do with you. You may have been told I was cruel. You may have been told your mother left me because I did not love her. I am not going to waste paper calling people liars. Let me tell you what is true. I built this cabin when your mother was 4 years old. I cut the logs myself. I dug the cellar myself. I stocked it every winter because I knew one day you might need a place that could keep you alive when people failed you. This cabin is yours, not your father's, not Denise's. Yours. The papers proving that are with a lawyer in town. The Strongbox has the rest once you find the key. But before any of that, I need you to know this. You were wanted. You were always wanted. By me, by your mother, and by every good piece of this house that waited for you longer than people should ever have to wait." Maya read that line again. You were wanted. The words did not feel real at first. They felt too big for the cold little room. She looked around the cabin with different eyes. The table, the chairs, the shelves, the door, the bed frame. Her grandfather had made all of it. The man she had been taught to hate had built her a place, and her parents had left her there, thinking it would break her. They had no idea it was the only place in the world built to save her. Under the letter were photographs. Her mother at 5, missing front teeth, sitting on the porch. Her mother as a teenager, laughing beside the wood stove. Arthur Vale, broad-shouldered and gray-mustached, holding a baby with terrified tenderness. On the back, it said, Arthur and Maya, 3 weeks old. Maya was the baby. He had held her. Somebody had cut that out of her life and never told her. Then she opened the bundle of letters. There were dozens, one for every birthday, every envelope addressed to Maya Ellis at the house where she had grown up. Every one returned. Some stamped, some marked in red pen. Returned to sender, no longer at this address, which was a lie. She had lived at that address her whole life. On the newest envelopes, the words were written by hand, Denise's hand. Round letters, careful loops. We do not want these. Maya read that sentence 3 times. She set the envelope down very gently because her hands had started to shake too hard to trust them. No one tells you how betrayal actually hurts. It is not always loud. Sometimes it is a stack of unopened birthday letters in a cold cellar, proving someone loved you every year you thought no one did. The next morning, Maya knew she had to get to town. There was no phone, no car, no way to call the lawyer her grandfather mentioned. So she packed 2 letters, the photograph of Arthur holding her, and the first page of the deed she found in the document box. She banked the stove, filled a jar with water, and stepped into the snow. Dutch came with her. Stay, she told him. He ignored her. They walked down the mountain together. The snow came up past her boots. The road was nearly gone beneath it. Her feet went numb after the first hour. Dutch limped but kept going, shoulder brushing her leg as if reminding her not to fall apart. After nearly 2 hours, she heard an engine. An old plow truck came grinding up the road, orange paint showing through rust, blade pushing snow aside. The driver slowed. He was in his 60s, with gray stubble, a wool cap, and eyes that had seen too many winters to be surprised by much. You're the girl they left up at Arthur's cabin, he said. Maya did not answer. He looked at her boots, her pale face, the dog beside her. Get in before you lose a toe. The man's name was Wendell. He had plowed the mountain road for Arthur for 20 winters. When he saw Dutch, his face softened. Well, I'll be, he murmured. That old dog finally found who he was waiting for. You knew him? Knew Arthur. Knew the dog. Knew your mother, too. Maya turned fast. You knew my mother? Wendell kept his eyes on the road. Lila used to ride down this mountain, sitting right where you are. She had your eyes. Maya looked out the window, because if she looked at him, she would cry in a stranger's truck. The lawyer's office was above a hardware store in a town so small, the main street ended before Maya finished counting the buildings. A woman named Grace Bell opened the door. She looked at Maya, then at the photograph in Maya's hand, and her face changed. You're Maya, she said. Maya nodded. Grace closed her eyes for half a second. I have been trying to find you for over a year. The folder on Grace's desk had Maya's name on it. Inside was the will. Plain, legal, specific. Arthur Vale left the cabin, the workshop, the cellar, the 160 acres of mountain land, and everything on or under it to his granddaughter, Maya Ellis, and no one else. There was also a timber offer. Maya stared at the number. It was more money than she had ever imagined seeing. Grace spoke gently. Your father and stepmother came here months ago. They thought the land would pass through your mother's marriage to your father. It does not. It belongs to you. Maya looked at the papers. Then she understood. They knew, she whispered. Grace did not answer. Maya kept going, because once the truth started lining up, it would not stop. They knew it was mine. They knew I had to sign it over. So they took my phone, my money, and my car keys. They left me up there cold and alone until I was scared enough to sign whatever they brought back. Grace's face tightened. I need you to listen to me carefully. You do not sign anything they bring you. Not one paper, not one line. Maya nodded, but they did not know she knew. That was what kept turning over in her mind as Wendell drove her back up the mountain. Her parents thought she was still hungry, still isolated, still desperate. They thought the cabin was breaking her. They had no idea the cabin had already told her the truth. That night, Maya opened the Strongbox. The key had been hidden in her grandfather's workshop, inside a small drawer beneath a half-finished rocking chair. The Strongbox did not hold a pile of cash. It held something worse for Denise. Proof. Savings bonds in Maya's name, one for every birthday since she was born. A copy of Arthur's will, returned letters, a photograph of Denise signing for certified mail she later claimed never arrived, and a note from Arthur. If they ever bring you here without a choice, do not be afraid. That means they are out of options. The truth has already cornered them. Maya sat at the table and laughed once, not because it was funny, because her grandfather had understood people he never got to confront. An hour later, Dutch lifted his head. Then Maya heard it too. An engine climbing the mountain. Headlights swept across the cabin windows. Her father's truck stopped outside. Denise got out first, bundled in a clean coat and town boots. Daniel followed slowly, shoulders bent against the snow. Maya stood in the open doorway with the lamp behind her and Dutch at her side. Denise smiled like she was arriving to rescue someone. Oh, honey, look at you. We were worried sick. Maya said nothing. Denise climbed the porch steps. This place is not safe. Get your things. We are taking you home. You said this was home. Denise blinked. What? Yesterday, you said the cabin was mine. A fresh start. Denise laughed softly. We were trying to help you understand responsibility, but clearly this is too much. Daniel stared at the floorboards. Maya stepped back. Come in. She wanted them inside. She wanted them standing in the room that had caught them lying. Denise entered first and immediately started performing concern, touching the table, looking at the stove, sighing at the blankets. Then she placed a folder on the table. Here's the thing, Denise said. The cabin is tied up in legal problems, taxes, estate issues, timber rights. Your father and I can handle it for you, but we need your signature. Maya looked at the folder. There it is. Denise's smile faded. What? The reason you came back. Maya, which lawyer told you that? Denise paused. Our lawyer. Name? This is not an interrogation. No, Maya said. It's a simple question. Her father closed his eyes. Maya opened the Strongbox and placed Arthur's letters on the table. Then the returned envelopes. Then the photograph of Arthur holding her as a baby. Then the savings bonds with her name on every one. Denise went pale. Maya picked up the newest returned envelope. This is your handwriting. Denise did not speak. You wrote, we do not want these, on letters from my grandfather. Birthday letters. Every year. Daniel sat down hard in one of the chairs. His voice cracked. Denise. Maya turned to him. You knew? Daniel covered his face. And there it was. The answer she already knew, but still needed to hear, heard anyway. I knew letters came, he whispered. I let her send them back. I told myself Arthur would confuse you. I told myself Lila's family was pain I could spare you from. No, Maya said. You spared yourself. He looked up then, and his eyes were wet. You look like her. Maya did not move. I know that is not an excuse, he said. It is just the truth. Every time I looked at you after she died, I saw Lila, and I could not breathe. Denise made decisions because I was too weak to make any. Denise snapped. Do not put this all on me. Maya looked at her. No, he failed me too. But you planned this. Denise's face hardened. You have no idea what it is like to be broke. Maya almost laughed. I slept in a frozen cabin because you stole my money. That land could save this family. It is not your family's land. I raised you. You kept me. The room went silent. Maya felt her voice steady. You kept my letters. You kept my mother's things. You kept my phone, my cash, my keys. You are very good at keeping things that do not belong to you. Denise flinched. For the first time, she had no polished answer. Daniel stood and walked back out into the snow. For a moment, Maya thought he was leaving again, but he came back carrying the cardboard box from the truck. Her mother's box, the one they had taken. He placed it on the table in front of Maya. I couldn't throw it away, he said. Denise wanted me to. I told her I did. I hid it in the crawl space. Maya put both hands on the box. Through the cardboard, she felt the hard shape of the little glass bird. You don't get credit for hiding what you should have protected, she said. Daniel nodded slowly. I know. Take her and go home. Denise opened her mouth. Daniel said, no. One word, small, late, but real. Denise stared at him. Daniel looked at Maya. What do you want me to do? Maya looked around the cabin, the stove, the table, the hatch, the letters, the dog. I don't know yet, she said. But for once, someone in this family is going to leave something to me. They left in silence. Maya stood in the doorway and watched the taillights disappear down the road. This time, being left behind did not feel like abandonment. It felt like ownership. Spring came slowly. The snow melted from the south wall first. Water ran down the ruts. Tiny green plants appeared along the path behind the woodshed. Maya cleaned the windows, fixed the shelves, and learned the shape of every tool in her grandfather's workshop. The timber company called 3 times. She said no every time. She cashed 1 savings bond to fix the roof and buy supplies. The rest she left alone. They were not just money, they were birthdays, proof that someone had chosen her again and again, even when every letter came back. She finished the rocking chair her grandfather had started for her. A tag tied to one unfinished arm read, "For Maya, when she comes." The first night the chair was done, she set it beside the stove and sat down carefully. It rocked once, smooth, like it had been waiting for her body to arrive. Maya opened her mother's box that night. The glass bird went on the windowsill. The photograph went beside the lamp, and the cassette tape went into an old player she found in the workshop. Her mother's voice came through static, singing badly along to a radio song. Maya sat on the floor beside Dutch and listened to the woman she had been told left her become real again for 3 minutes and 42 seconds. After that, Maya came down the mountain once a week. Wendell helped her repair her grandfather's old truck. Grace helped finalize the papers. A woman from town who had known Lila brought over a box of photographs. And slowly, the cabin stopped being the place her parents had abandoned her. It became the place that gave everything back. Months later, Daniel sent a letter. Maya let it sit unopened on the windowsill for 3 days. Then she read it. It was not a defense. That was why she finished it. He wrote that he was sorry, that Denise had left, that the business was gone, that grief had made him weak, but weakness had still hurt her. He did not ask forgiveness. He only asked if someday, when Maya wanted, he could come see the cabin Lila had loved. Maya folded the letter and placed it in a drawer. She did not answer right away. Some doors take time. And now, for the first time in her life, she was the one holding the key. On the first warm evening of summer, Maya sat in the finished rocking chair, with Dutch sleeping by the stove and the hatch closed beneath the rug. Sunlight passed through her mother's glass bird on the windowsill, throwing blue and gold across the floor. The same floor her parents thought would break her. The same floor that hid the truth. Maya did not become rich because she found a strongbox beneath a frozen cabin. She became free because under the floor, in the cold and dark, her grandfather had left proof that she had never been unwanted.